Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. This week, a new airline will soon be landing in Plattsburgh. Breeze Airways will begin nonstop service to Orlando from the Plattsburgh International Airport, offering 3 flights a week beginning on November 28th. Breeze markets itself as a low-cost carrier, offering comparatively cheap fares with a la carte services. The airline currently offers flights out of the airport in Syracuse. Airport officials say 150,000 passengers flew in and out of the Plattsburgh Airport last year, and that this new airline will help that number grow. Breeze will join Allegiant and Contour Airlines, offering daily and weekly flights to Philadelphia and several cities in Florida. Also this week, back on track, Amtrak's Adirondack Line has resumed service to the North Country in Montreal. The train between New York City, Albany, and Montreal was suspended for the entire summer, just a few weeks after it had started up again in April to great fanfare following a 3-year shutdown during the COVID pandemic. When service was abruptly shut down in late June, Amtrak said the Canadian National Railway, which maintains the tracks north of the border, had put new speed restrictions in place, reducing the speed limit to just 10 miles per hour on the lines around Montreal on days when the temperature got above 86 degrees, warning that the rails could be damaged by trains traveling at higher speeds. And North Country Assemblyman Billy Jones is here with us. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Like so many, you must be pleased that the Amtrak Adirondack Line is back up and running.
Yes. We've really struggled with this lately. Of course, we had the 3-year period during COVID, and many of us locally were advocating, and on the state level and federal level, advocating to get that service back. We finally got it back, and then they shut us off earlier here in the summer with issues dealing with CN Rail in Canada. But they're back. Like I said, when they announced they were coming back on the 11th, we need consistency, and this start and stop, and we just need to come up with a plan. They need to come up with a plan to get more consistent service here.
The speed limits on the tracks in Canada, now we're into mid-September. We probably won't hit 86 degrees again, probably not until next year. Is it your hope, though, in the meantime, that they'll be able to resolve this and this won't be an issue again next year?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously safety first, but it kind of came out of left field, this train, the temperature on the train tracks. I wasn't aware of that before. That was part of one of the reasons and an excuse not to continue the service through the summer. That's what I mean. We need to have them come up with a plan, talk to the rail, come up with a good plan so we can have consistent service. This starting and stopping is just frustrating.
These are two privately owned companies, Amtrak and Canadian National Railway. At some point, though, being public transit, do you think the federal government, the Canadian government, the state of New York could intervene and try to force them to resolve this?
Well, they do get funding. Amtrak does get funding from the federal government, so I think there is that, a bit of a hammer there for the federal government to do that. Me being a partner in government and U.S.-Canada relations, I'm the chair of that task force we have in the Assembly. Just consistently talking to our friends and neighbors to the north. I brought it up in several meetings I've had, and like I said, we need some resolution on this. And locals here, we keep advocating for it, and I think that's the best we can do.
Did your office hear from SUNY Plattsburgh students or others who are inconvenienced by this?
Families of SUNY students use it quite a bit. SUNY students use it. Obviously, the tourism during the summer, we lost out on a little bit of that with the Amtrak going down. So we just need consistency from them, and hopefully they can work on a plan here.
As you mentioned a little bit earlier, service was disrupted, suspended for more than 3 years during the pandemic. There was a big celebration in April. Roger Harris, the president of Amtrak, came here. Mm-hmm. He was talking about maybe even adding a second train to Montreal. Now we have this budget battle looming. Republicans want to cut Amtrak funding by 65% in the 2024 budget. Significant cuts that could potentially derail this train once again.
Absolutely. We do not need any more excuses for Amtrak to cut service on this line. So certainly I would advocate that the federal government keep that money in there for the Amtrak line.
The announcement this week that Breeze Airways will start up service between Plattsburgh and Florida beginning in November, offering 3 flights a week to Orlando. Clinton County is hopeful that the low-cost carrier will draw Canadian passengers back to Plattsburgh. There's been quite a reduction in the number of passengers during the pandemic.
This is another option for the Plattsburgh International Airport. We're hoping to get those our friends and neighbors from the north back there using this service on a consistent basis, and I think it will certainly help.
This past week, the state finally released a long-awaited report on road salt in the Adirondacks. It's the result of years of work by a task force that you chaired. Are you satisfied with the final report?
I felt, there was a delay in getting the report out. We pushed, DOT and DEC to get that report out to us. I think there are some good things in that report. It could have been a little more directed on what we are going to do, how we are going to fund some of these initiatives. I think we missed out a little bit on that, but the report's out. Let's get implementing some of these standards they put in there.
Does it look as if the DOT is going to sign on using some of the alternatives to salt that a number of communities, especially in and around Lake George, have been using effectively for a few years now?
That's part of the recommendations, and we hope they do.
Is it likely that there will be state funding to back these programs, either to help communities with their water supplies or to help them try these alternatives to
Absolutely, and let's not forget about private dwellings that have been affected by this as well. I've visited, and I know you've done reporting on this, people that have built brand new homes and they cannot use their drinking water, they cannot bathe in this water, they can't use their dishwasher, washing machines because of salt in their water, in their wells, and it's heartbreaking to see, and we need to help those people out as well.
Does the report recommend even stricter limits on the use of road salt, and what levels are acceptable in the environment? Yeah,
there's some low salt zones that we have now in the Adirondacks. We're looking to get more of those in, especially by waterways and such. So certainly, we've been waiting for this report. We pushed to get this report out. Now we have to start implementing some of this stuff, and we have a budget season coming up, starting again in January, and certainly we should be putting some funding behind that as well.
There has been an influx of migrants, asylum seekers, into New York City over the past year, 110,000. The mayor, Eric Adams, saying the city has run out of room and is spending billions to house, educate, and care for asylum seekers and their children. Governor Hochul says she won't force upstate communities or counties to take in migrants. Do you agree with the governor on that?
I do. I don't think we should, we should have local control. That's what we are here in this state, and it should stay that way with the migrant crisis we're going through. I will say, this is a disastrous non-policy on part of the federal government that has done this, and it's put pressure on, obviously, New York, the city, and the state governments. This is a federal responsibility, Tom. There's no way that the state should be using their money and their resources, and in the city for that matter. This is a federal responsibility, and we're not getting anything from the federal government on this.
Are you hearing from communities in your assembly district? Are they open to accepting migrants here in the North Country?
I think it's you have different opinions out there, but another federal standard. We have to wait 180 days before they can apply for work visas here. That's ridiculous. We have worker shortages all over the place. We have migrants coming in to this state looking for work, and then they have to wait 6 months before they can even apply for a work visa. That's ridiculous. That's a failed policy on behalf of the federal government, and it should be changed.
The governor this week talking about the possibility of bringing lawmakers back for a special session and trying to override that by trying to reduce that 180-day waiting period so that migrants can get jobs and take care of themselves. Would you support those bills if she does that?
I would support work visas getting quicker than 180 days. I don't know what the state's authority is on that. It is a federal government policy. I don't know if we can override that.
Not in your district, but just across the Franklin-St. Lawrence County line, the town of Massina's airport was on a list of possible sites offered up by Homeland Security to the mayor. Most are downstate, but there was that one in Massena, and Massena and St. Lawrence County quite surprised to find themselves on that list.
Yeah, and the list came from, I think it was a reporter found this list somewhere. Obviously, we've heard from Massena and St. Lawrence County. It's ill-equipped to take thousands or hundreds of migrants in there. We don't have the capacity here to do that. So, I mean, I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to take some of the, I know what the mayor of New York City is trying to do, take some of the pressure off there, but quite frankly, we don't have the facilities or the resources or capabilities here in the North Country.
And you haven't heard of any other sites in the North Country being offered up as potential shelter sites?
No.
We're seeing a bit of an uptick in COVID cases. The new vaccines are out the end of this week. The governor encouraging everyone to get the new shots, but not requiring them. We're not talking mandatory shots. We're not talking mask mandates or anything like that at this point.
No mandates. That's all I have to say. Let's move on. We know how to help ourselves through this. I think I know my residents. I think most New York residents are just they have COVID fatigue, and it's a personal decision. They'll do what's right for them or for their families that they feel is right. Let's move on. No more mandates.
During the Board of Regents meeting this week, you presented Dr. Vladimir Munk with an award from the New York State Board of Regents, the Louis Yavner Award, for his efforts over the years to educate others, especially students, about the Holocaust. Dr. Munk is a Holocaust survivor, longtime professor at SUNY Plattsburgh. Was this a much-deserved honor for Dr. Munk?
What an incredible man. You know him. You've interviewed him throughout the years. I've gotten to know him over the past couple of years and visiting with him, and all the work he has done in educating students at Plattsburgh State, students in schools. He's been going into schools and educating them about the atrocities of the Holocaust and what he's lived through. This man is 98 years old. He's lived through Auschwitz, lived through the Holocaust, and just to hear his story is incredible. And he keeps teaching us. He keeps teaching us. He likes to call them teachable moments, and certainly just a fascinating individual and story, and much deserved award.
Assemblyman Billy Jones, thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us. Appreciate it.
Always great to be here. Thanks, Tom.